Hey, Terry Caliendo, Dedicated Managers, doing another video, the OAuth 2.0 Authorization Framework, IETF 6749. We did introduction, roles, protocol, flow. We're starting to get into the authorization grant stuff here. I just did the authorization code, so now I'm going to talk about implicit. And remember, I said in the last video that this section highly mirrors section 4. So I'm going to pull up section 4 where we talk about the implicit. Let's just do this. Let's go back to here and go 4, and we'll pull up the implicit here on 4.2. So now we're talking implicit, and then back to section 1.3, we'll look at the implicit there. So these two sections mirror each other. This is kind of like the introduction. That would be why it's in the introduction section. And then this is the in-depth definition. So that's why I should be able to just blast through this, but you know me, if you're watching my videos by now, I tend to talk a little too much, which might be why my subscriber count is not exploding. Anyway, for those that do like that, that's where I'm at right now. Maybe someday I'll learn to optimize. More about taking the time to do that than to just do it live. So, implicit. What is the implicit grant? It's a simplified authorization code flow optimized for clients implemented in a browser using a scripting language such as JavaScript. So, implicit, whoa, I can't get that. JavaScript, implicit. So when you're thinking implicit, you're thinking VueJS, you're thinking React, you're thinking front-end JavaScript applications, which are all the rage right now. And that is depicted kind of here. Now you see here, we are not getting, in the last video we talked about a code. In this video we're skipping right past that code, and the authorization server is authenticating the user and then right away sending back in a redirection URI the access token in a fragment, which is a hashtag. So the user agent is getting the token right away back. Now this is less secure, and the reason you don't want to do this when you don't have to is because now that token's sitting in the user agent, which is the browser, which also contains the client. This client is actually sitting inside the user agent in this one. Even though it's kind of showing it different, I would have put the client, as a box inside here, and then put those errors that the user agent passes the token to the client. So the user agent is the browser, which the access token comes in on via the URL, and then the client, which is the JavaScript application, reads the URL to pull the access token. So the implicit flow, instead of issuing a client an authorization code, the client is issued an access token directly as a result of the resource owner's authorization. So again, still the authorization server is talking to the resource owner. And I've got some other, I think Auth2.0 does a better diagram of this that I'm going to find when I really go into this section, when I actually hit section 4. Because really this diagram doesn't make it pretty that the user authentication here is really the authorization server talking directly to the resource owner. I guess it is going through the user agent, but it's going through the user agent after the user agent has been redirected to the authorization server, which would be like accounts.google.com. So again, I'm kind of blasting through this, and I'll really go slow when I get into it in section 4. The grant type is implicit, as no intermediate credentials such as the authorization code are issued and later used to obtain an access token. So that's what I talked about in the last video. Go watch the last video and see how I talked about the code being exchanged for an access token, which keeps that access token out of the browser. But in this case, we're sending the access token to the application that's living in the browser, so we might as well just send it right away. There's no point in doing that third-party stuff because we're sending it there anyway. When issuing an access token during the implicit grant flow, the authorization server does not authenticate the client. So this is a big deal. This client, which is the JavaScript that's sitting inside the browser here, it's ending up with the access token, but the client is not authenticated because it can't contain a secret, so anybody could impersonate it. You could just pull up Postman, which is just a program to submit posts easily to websites. and just take all the information that you can get from the browser. You can just go right-click and choose Inspect, and go to your application and find your either local storage. Sometimes stuff is stored in there. Otherwise, your cookies. There's stuff stored in cookies. Apparently, I don't have any from any of these websites. I'm in an incognito right now, and this RFC isn't trying to store anything. But typically, there'd be some cookies here, and you could just view them and grab them. So if I go to YouTube and view my cookies, and I'll probably make this, let's see, app cookies. Let's see. Well, I don't know why we're not seeing any cookies here. Oh, helps if you do the drop down and then view the website. So here's some cookies. They're checking me out. They're doing, visitor info, whatever they're doing here. They're tracking some stuff about me. Anyway, back to this. So the client is not authenticated. So when you see that the client is not authenticated, you're probably in the implicit flow, which means you're doing the browser authentication or the JavaScript type deal, front end application. In some cases, the client identity can be verified via the redirection URI to use to deliver the access token to the client. The access token may be exposed to the resource owner or other applications with access to the resource owner's user agent. So again, this is where we're talking about, we're getting this token back to the user agent, which is passing it to the client, or the client's actually retrieving it through JavaScript commands to look at the URL. That token is all exposed. It's the resource owner can grab that, and if the resource owner can grab it, some other malicious third party can grab it because it's just out there in the wild on the user's device. So there it is. It's exposed to the resource owner and therefore other applications. So it can be used maliciously, and also we can't really authenticate the client. We don't know that the client is really the client because all the information is there and can be stolen. Implicit grants improve the responsiveness and efficiency of some clients, such as client implemented as an in-browser application. That's a VueJS application or a React application, since it reduces the number of round trips required to obtain an access token. Remember, we don't have that code thing in there, so we're not doing that extra trip. However, this convenience should be weighed against the security implications of using implicit grants, such as those described in these sections, especially when the authorization code grant type is available. So in other words, if you wouldn't want to use the implicit flow, with a back-end server because you can do better with the code type. This is just a convenience method. The implicit is a convenience method to make things easier because the application is in the browser, so it's not necessarily as secure. And I am not, I'm pretty good with security. I'm not a security expert, but there's some stuff to follow here. If we open this in a new tab, we start talking about transmitting things using TLS, which is SSL, to make sure that we're doing safe things. And the client should request minimal scope. Don't ask for things that you don't need because it's more likely to get hacked. This type of deal. So there's security implications to doing the implicit flow, but it's a beast that needs to be tackled because of what's happening in the front end scripts these days. So that's about all I know about that. We'll get deeper into the implicit when we start getting down into, oops, not that one, into this section, into section 4.2, and really in depth go through what's happening in this situation. So again, Terry Caliendo, Dedicated Managers is the website. Hit the contact button, say hi. This is the playlist that I'm building right here. That's the icon for it. Do me a favor, follow me, hit subscribe. Got 300 subscribers. Pretty proud of that at this point. I was just hoping to get to 100. Would love to see 1,000 someday. Keep following. I'll keep making videos, and we'll just we'll all hang out and have a great time. Terry Caliendo, Dedicated Managers. Happy coding. See you in the next video.